Hello everyone. Today I'm going to continue the previous topic, and this video is in continuation of the last topic where we discussed how futile it is to scold the children, and actually it can be very damaging. Now you scolded the child. Now you are feeling, either guilt or you are feeling a little bad about it. And suppose the child is also maybe very scared at the time, or they are very angry, or they can be very scared and maybe throwing tantrums. So what you can do now, you know that the damage is happening. So what you can do is you can instantly, immediately stop the damage by becoming mindful. That's when you realize, oh, this is happening. So first thing first is just stop at that point and just take some deep breaths. Now when you start taking some deep breaths, that's the power that you take in your hand to just act. So when you take some deep breaths, what happens is your parasympathetic system, your nervous system goes into parasympathetic mode, and then you can calm down and think. When we are angry, our sympathetic system is activated, and we cannot function properly. We are in a more reactive mode rather than the response is more. So in order to activate that, first we need to do is just take some deep breaths, and then center yourself, ground yourself, and then connect to the child. Now what you can do is, if the child is very scared, you can pick up the child. If the child is very small, you can pick up the child and give them a hug or something. Or if you think the child is throwing a lot of tantrum or something, what you can do is make the child also calm. Now what happens due to the mirror neurons, as soon as you start to feel calm, the child is also slowly going to feel calm. Now another thing what you can do is you can sit down at the child's height, and then connect to the child. Now we discussed in the previous video that the difference between the child's height and the parent's height is almost 3 or 4 times. So it is very difficult, for the child to not feel actually scared. They are definitely going to feel scared if you shout. So in order to repair the damage, now you have to come down to their level, so that you don't appear like a giant who is very angry. You are now going to feel non-threatening, and you are going to be friendly with the child, because they are going to now see you as peer, or rather than the parent and child, or somebody who is intimidating and the person feeling very intimidated by them. So it is very important that you come to their level, and then see in their eyes, and then you can maybe tell the child to also take some deep breaths, or you can give them a little glass of water to calm down. That will immediately calm down. And also you can, depending on how bad they are feeling, and also depending on their personality type, you can give them a lot of options. Like first thing, you can explain that I shouted. First thing, you can apologize that I'm sorry I shouted at you, but you were in danger. Maybe the child was kind of trying to jump from somewhere, and then you suddenly shouted, don't you do that. And that is the case. So then you can explain that you were putting yourself in danger, and it was my responsibility at that time to save you from any injury, and that's why I have shouted, but I should not be shouting at you. But next time, please be mindful of what you are doing. So by doing that, you are immediately calming the child down, and you can also make them feel relaxed. And one very important point in this is, you should never blame the child for your anger. Like you shouldn't say that if you had not done that, I wouldn't have done this. Suppose your child like broken a plate or cup or something, and then you shouted, yeah, because you got no reaction. Now you should never say that if you hadn't broken the plate, I wouldn't have shouted at you. That is very wrong way to do that, and most parents make this mistake, and they then later realize it. But this is actually making the child feel very ashamed of themselves, and also it actually triggers a lot of guilt. Their amygdala is already very fired up. They are already feeling very emotional. Their emotional brain is activated at that time. If you say all these things, they are going to keep that in their heart, and then that is going to affect them long term, and negative consequences are guaranteed. So order to stop that, this is very important that you do not blame your anger on your child. If you do that, then in future they will become people pleaser, and they'll be very scared of making a mistake, or they will be always very scared of other people's emotions, because they will take everything personally, that, oh, because of me this person is behaving like that. They associate these things, and this is not a very good thing. So that another point was that never ever blame the child for the consequence. You can point out in a way that they understand, like if they have broken a plate and you have already shouted at them, then you can say that, yeah, I first thing apologize, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have shouted at you. I just wanted you to be safe, and next time, when you are holding up a plate, just make sure that you are safe, and be little slow, so that you are safe. So their safety is your concern. That message should go, rather than you, because you broken up a plate, now I am angry. So they will not have this logical understanding, as I mentioned in the previous video. They will not have the logical understanding that it is because of the safety concern of my parent was angry. So you can explain it and calm them down. Another thing I would also add is that, check your own childhood. Suppose you were shouted at in your childhood, and you felt a bit judged and ashamed and guilty about it. Then your mind is basically just programmed in a way that it is then going to do the same when that kind of situation triggers, because whenever there is a trigger, your subconscious mind is definitely going to project it in a way that happened in the childhood. That's why we often say that when we are very angry, we behave in a way that we don't want to, because it is coming from your subconscious and not very conscious. And that's why the breath is the link, from switching to subconscious to conscious. So the moment that you feel that you have shouted at the child, first thing, take a deep breath, and then you are in more control position, and then you can then handle the child in a very very positive manner. So that's all for today. Another last point I would also add is that if you think you may have some childhood trauma or inner child issues as well, then it is very important that you seek help and therapies. There are so many inner child work therapies are there, that you can take it and work on yourself. Every time you get triggered, just ask yourself, why did I feel this way? And then next time, what you can do is you can also make a mental picture, and like you have to replay what exactly happened right now, and then replay in your mind with the outcome that you want. Like suppose your child has broken a plate, so then sit down and visualize that, okay, my child just broke a plate, now what am I doing? And how am I conducting myself? Am I calm or am I angry? So if you visualize yourself in that manner, and then you visualize that I am calm, then what is going to happen is that next time when the child is going to maybe break any other thing, your mind is already pre-programmed to stay calm. And this is a very very big cue that you can use it. And it is like a prop, it's like a preparation that you are actually giving to your mind, that this is how you are supposed to act. And this preparation is really going to make a huge difference. Trust me, you just try that. And if you have followed anything and you have got benefited, or you have got any question, then please do let me know. Until next time, be mindful and happy parenting.